Last time on Square Roots, Kiru teams up with a precocious little girl and a dog. Where have I heard that before? Oh, right. Go, go, Gadget, Fist!
Everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by John B-Style Brandon.
Give me a beat.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And as a reminder, everyone, Matthew is taking the series off. He's still in deep cover on assignment.
In enemy territory.
He's going to get to the bottom of this whole Gamergate debacle. By which I mean... He's just finding men on the street and yelling at them that they're idiots.
That sounds like Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa's hot take. Do-do-do.
Yeah, hot take. And if you can't handle it, then deal with it, gamers.
I had someone come on my stream and then tell me how Yakuza was an anti-SJW game.
What? Why?
Oh, I guess because men...
Because it's not culturally sensitive?
Well, it sure is not. But I think he said because men protect women.
Okay.
Huh.
I guess what he means by that is that women are kind of useless in this game.
They're passive items to be protected or collected?
They are prizes to be won.
Whatever, dude.
Okay.
I mean, yes, men protecting women is great. Women protecting men is great. Let's have both. Let's all protect each other.
Yay.
But let's do it while maintaining a respect for each other's autonomy and boundaries.
Mm-hmm. I'll do that.
Wow.
I'll protect you.
Make that the episode title.
Vanessa will protect me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll protect Jim.
Mm-hmm. Jim will protect Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt will protect Spear.
Protect Sphere?
Sick burn on Matt.
What's he protecting?
His beer. He loves his beer.
Oh,
I thought you said spear.
I thought you said fear.
Wow, I said a word that was 3 words in 1 word. I'm amazing.
You are amazing. So,
also, waking up from a nap, so my voice might be a little slurred.
Well, Jim, have you taken your nighttime cough medicine yet?
Not yet. I'm subsisting on cough drops right now.
That's
I feel
great.
like I'm at the tail end of this whole cough thing. So I'm just trying to survive.
So in this podcast, we play a game one chunk at a time. This is chunk 3? Is this chunk 3?
Mm-hmm.
Chunk 3 of Yakuza. And we analyze it like a book club. So if you want to go back to 2 episodes ago, you'll hear us start Yakuza. And now we are playing chapters, was it 6 and 7? Yeah. And before we get into that, how about, Jim, how about you tell me how you leveled up?
Sure. I started reading a book. I was going to say a real book. It's on my Kindle. But it's a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Beautiful Thing That Awaits Us All by Laird Barron. It's a short story collection. It's like a horror short story collection.
Is it death?
I assume so. I haven't made it to the end yet.
Sorry for the spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But it's good. I've been on a real short story collection kick. And this is the next one on my list, and I'm really liking it so far. Let's see. John, how did you level up?
Well, I leveled up in a couple of ways. I saw the new Mandalorian, which gave me flashbacks to Strangers with Candy in an amazing way. Have you seen that show, Strangers with Candy, Jim?
I have.
Do you remember the one where she takes care of a baby?
No, I didn't see that one.
And she's about to give the baby a whole can of grape soda, and she's like, "Oh, this is too big for you." So she rips the can in half and gives the baby the jagged can. Oh, it just and she does her Jerry Blank voice in The Mandalorian, which is amazing.
I thought that episode was kind of boring.
Oh, wow.
But that's just me.
I've been playing more State of Decay 2. I still haven't played it online with anyone because Matt has been busy. And I'm working night shift, so I'm like awake at really weird hours. But it's really good. Like I think because the game got like 5 to 7s from like GameSpot and IGN and all that. But it's been fixed. It runs really well now, and it's got some really cool stuff. Like at night, you can't see anything really, like even with your little flashlight. And so you're sneaking around trying to avoid zombies, and using headphones, you can just hear where they are all around you. Like it's got really good directional audio. So you'd be like, oh, I can hear there's a horde of zombies to my left, even if I can't see them. So I'm just going to sneak around this way. And it's just, I don't know, it's really atmospheric. It's just fun and goofy in a really interesting way. And I like base building games and like social sims. Like people have different elements to their personalities. Like some people like to start fights, and some people make fights worse because they egg other people on, and everyone has different. It's a bit Sims like in how people interact in the base. It's really interesting. It's all kind of like procedurally generated.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun with that game. I think since it's on Game Pass, I recommend people just try it and see if they like it, especially maybe try it multiplayer. And otherwise, I also downloaded on the Game Pass Halo Reach for the PC. Because they just started releasing the Master Chief Collection one game at a time on PC.
I saw that.
And Halo Reach.
Do you like it so far?
Yeah, I was playing that multiplayer with my friend, and it's gorgeous for a 10-year-old game.
Yeah, I played it too, and like I couldn't really get into it, but I still thought it looked really good.
Yeah, it looks good. It's Halo, it's and it's a Bungie Halo. It's my least favorite of the Bungie Halos. I think ODST...
Me too, actually, now that you say that.
I'd be like, ODST was amazing. Then
that was a good
Halo
game.
2, I loved Halo 2. Then Halo 3, then 1, then Reach.
Got it.
What do you think?
Yeah, Reach, I don't know. There's something about the combat that just didn't I don't know. Like, it was too tight.
What?
Maybe the controls a little bit.
Interesting. Not enough times where you're just driving around on a warthog, smashing through little guys.
Yeah. I guess it was kind of on the rails now that you say that. It didn't feel quite as open world.
Yeah, it didn't. I also made a mix CD for 2019, which maybe I'll post on the show notes if anyone wants to listen to that. It has... You
made a CD?
Well, I've it's actually a little too long right now for a CD. I need to chop 10 minutes to make it CD length. It needs to be...
Why?
Yeah, why? John, we have devices that could play thousands of songs.
So I made a mix list, I guess, of like stuff I listened to in 2019, including one track from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Nice. Which one?
I am
Isolated?
the Licher Bitch.
Oh.
By Jenna Torturer. But it also has Wilson Phillips's Release Me, which is, I think, one of my jams of the year. I started listening to Billie Eilish and Grimes, and Billie Eilish is amazing. And she's like 17. What have I done with my life?
I'll admit that I haven't listened to Billie Eilish very much.
Try the song Bury Your Friends. I think that's her best song. It's really dark and like got like these scuzzy beats to it. And it's great. And there's another good song called Zanny about her taking Xanax and not Xanax. What do you call that? Is it Xanax? You know, them like
How should I know? And also, this is a child singing about drug consumption and
is
seducing somebody's father, who presumably is above, age of a minor and should not be having any kind of intercourse with this teenage girl. This is terrible music.
When is she talking about seducing her father?
That's in one of her songs.
Let's seduce your dad
Oh,
guy.
that's right. Yep. I don't like that song very much, but that one and then
Boop, boop, boop,
Listen
boop.
Before You
Boop,
Go
boop,
might be
boop,
the
boop,
saddest
boop,
song
boop,
I've heard
boop,
all
boop,
year.
boop,
But
boop, 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 boop.
yeah, bury your friend. Listen to that. Give it a shot. See what you think. Vanessa, how did you level up?
I went to a boat parade.
A BP?
Boat parade, yeah. Boat parade like a normal parade, except with boats. This was a holiday boat parade. So all of the boats had holiday lights on them. Some of them were very elaborate, and some of them looked like somebody woke up that afternoon, hungover, and strung one strand of lights on their stupid boat. The best float was the Hanukkah boat. That was the only boat that had a synchronized dance going on the deck. And they were playing that Hanukkah song. It's like, Hanukkah, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. It was great. Boat parade is good if you're a middle-class white person who wants to see upper middle-class white people go by on their boats. That's what happened to me. I also saw Knives Out.
Was that good?
Yes, I did like it very much. It was fun and funny. There were a lot of people there, despite it having been out for a while. I think word of mouth is really generating a lot of ticket sales for this film. It was interesting, engaging, amusing, good performances by everyone. My only druther, and for people who know me, this will seem like a strange druther because it is no secret that I am a fan of the Hollywood Chris's. When you're a Hollywood Chris, you look like a normal person except more better. And in this movie, there were many normal people, average actor people who are still in the top 1% of looks, but not in the top 0.0001% of looks. And Chris Evans is supposed to be related to them, but he looked too much more better. And so it did take me out of the movie a little bit because he's too handsome.
When his hair is a little
what
too
happened to me.
too poofy, I think he looks like a sexy beaker.
Like from the Muppets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably do some experiments on him.
What kind of
I
experiments?
don't know, just normal Dr. Honeydew experiments.
Oh.
Since we were talking about the Muppets last episode, I did watch several episodes of on Disney Plus. They have the whole first season of that new Muppets show that I quite like. They do not have the old Muppet show. I think probably because music rights on that would be very expensive.
I also think those are technically owned by
BBC?
somebody else, I think.
I know they're shot in England, so I think they might be like BBC or Channel 4 or ITV or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like they almost had to get those like almost independently produced, I think, because nobody wanted to do it.
They're so good, though.
Mm-hmm.
They are so good.
Do you remember the one where Mark Hamill is on and he keeps talking about how he can't dance, but his cousin can? And then he walks off stage and then his identical cousin comes on and does a tap dance instead.
I love Muppet humor. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
It's fantastic.
Too. You know what's really great about the Muppets is that there's this one special effect where it looked like Kermit and
You mean the legendary cinema special effect where Kermit is riding a bike?
Whoa. Have we talked about that on this show before?
No.
I mean,
Hold
talk
on,
about a moment that takes you out of a movie because you're just too blown away.
Hold on, there's a quote that this is from Roger
You've
Ebert.
said this quote too.
When he
like 3 times on the show.
When he reviewed the original Muppet movie from 1979, he said, Jolson sang, Barrymore spoke, Garbo laughed. And now Kermit the Frog rides a bike.
Wow. Amazing.
Yep.
If I'm correct, that's the movie that has the plot about the guy who wants to sleep with Miss Piggy.
We literally had this conversation last
And-
episode.
That is actually the Great Muppet Caper starring Charles Grodin.
Yes.
Charles Grodin, so great.
We talked about
known
this
for
last
his,
episode for about 10 minutes. I was joking. Let's not have this conversation again.
his appearances on late night television, where he'd be an antagonist to the host. Probably my favorite Charles Grodin moment is when he sings that song, Happiness, Miss Piggy.
Moving on. What else did you do to level up?
That's it. Saw a boat parade. It was okay. Once you see one boat, you kind of... Well, that's not true. I would say we left after we saw maybe 20 boats. But once you've seen 20 boats, you've seen them all. It was fun, holiday, festive atmosphere. Knives Out is good. If you have a choice between seeing a boat parade or going to Knives Out, I would suggest Knives Out. Now you might be thinking, Vanessa, I can see Knives Out anytime, but a boat parade is but once a year. I know that. I still recommend Knives Out. Duh.
Wow.
That's the end of our level up segment.
That's the end
Good job,
of
Vanessa.
our level up
Thank you.
segment. Let's roll off this rap sheet.
You ever seen Charles Groban on like Letterman or something though?
Did you say
Like-
Charles Groban, Josh Groban's father?
And in the Muppet Show, the new one, Kermit tries to set up Josh Groban, and is it Josh Groban, or is it Michelle Bublé and Miss Piggy, where they like start kissing?
Michelle, I think you mean Michael Bublé.
Whatever. Whatever.
I like
I don't
Josh Groban, except for his music.
Isn't Michael Bublé the guy that everybody dislikes now because didn't he make fun of somebody who like committed suicide or
Well,
he did something awful like that?
did he? Because I know his like kid almost died of cancer, and he was super taking a
Yeah,
break.
and then he made fun of him. He's like, "Nice cancer, kid."
Oh,
That was a terrible thing to say.
Vanessa.
I'm canceled.
God. So Yakuza Chapter 6. Chapter 7, I think, destroys a Vanessa fan theory. Maybe.
Well, does it?
I think so, but we'll talk about that in Chapter 7. First, we have to deal with the Chapter 6, I would say, takes a diversion away from what I would call the plot of the game.
Yeah, Chapter 6 is a game in and of itself.
It was entire this if you took this chapter out of the game, it would be the same game.
Yes. It is called Father and Child. And you might be thinking, is this about the paternal relationship between Kiryu and Haruka? No, it is not.
No.
It is not about that whatsoever.
But it must be.
No, it's about, remember the florist, the guy with the suggestively open kimono?
Yes.
And his daughter.
He
No,
has
his son.
a daughter.
His son, right? Was it?
That's right.
Yeah, his son, who is wearing a rad Bape green hoodie that I want. I was very jealous of that hoodie. Is mixing up with the wrong crowd. If you remember, he used to be a cop, but then he got dirty, I think.
Not the son, the florist.
Yeah, the florist used to be a cop, and so he hasn't really been there to be a dad to his son. And his son's mixing with a gang, and he's also fallen in love with a girl whose dad is the head of a Yakuza family.
Mm-hmm.
The florist has like a really cool like techno setup.
Mhm. When his desk
He's
sinks
like,
into the floor and he goes into his control room.
Yeah, he has like he's like Tank in the Matrix.
Not Dozer.
Not Dozer. Dozer dies.
Not the architect.
No, not the artist.
The architect's an
He's
AI.
Yeah, the architect's a bad guy, Vanessa.
I wouldn't say there's no AI in this game because there might be a subquest where you meet some kind of malevolent AI that needs breasts to live or something.
Or like whiskey, or to be punched in the face.
Oh, why are all the subquests just sketches from Benny Hill? Anyone? No. All right. So
is this thing on?
I guess Benny Hill is not a reference the kids get these days. But before we get into the story, we have another flashback to past Nishiki, who you remember is hyper incompetent and very upset about his friend going to jail. And he has asked that one guy from his clan, his family, to go find him $30 million. And the guy did by hitting up the other family, the Kashiwagi clan, who's part of the Tojo clan. And the guy's like, well, you told me to get $30 million. You didn't tell me how to do it. And
he told him to do whatever he needed to,
yeah.
right?
And he did.
And he did.
And Nishi's like, well, this is bad. This is really bad. You can't do that. And he's like, I can do whatever I want. And then cut to Nishiki being chewed out by Kashiwagi for having his money stolen. And Kashiwagi's like, well, I'm glad Kazama didn't find out about this because he'd be super disappointed. You suck. Meanwhile, Nishiki's like on the floor just begging and saying he's sorry over and over again. Things are not going well for past Nishiki.
No.
I want to see more present Nishiki because he looks very menacing in that funeral scene.
I would say this whole narrative device isn't good. The cutting back to the past over and over and over again and nothing really about the present.
Yeah, this whole like framing narrative thing, they're just dragging it out too much.
I mean, we know where it goes to, so there's no surprise that he's going to somehow like turn hyper competent and bad.
Well, and it like pulls the game, it screeches it to a halt. Like every time there's a flashback, it like does away with all of the narrative momentum of the game, which admittedly is not very much.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mogusa, who is a agent of the florist, comes to say, hey, the florist needs your help. And so you go meet with him and he's like, go help my son. He's getting in trouble. He's stealing money with the daughter of this Yakuza guy. And you go to the batting cage because it's like one of the 10 locations you can go to in this game, and try to talk to him. And he fights you. This is, what's his name? Takashi. But on your way to the batting cage, you see Tamura. He was the information broker guy who you thought died.
Oh, yeah. You were told that he died after you went to jail.
He did not die. He's been hiding because he's found out too much. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to be in the real world anymore.
Don't blame him. Have you seen the real world these days?
It's full of people running to attack you all the time.
You just walk down the street and people are like, hey, it's that guy.
Hey, don't you run away from me. So that you fight Takashi. He is not very strong. And he's there with his girlfriend, Kyoka. And she's going to... They run away together. They're just trying to, I guess, get out of town, get some money set up. But they run off to Debola, which is a fancy nightclub over by the theater square. And so if you head out there, you'll find her... also, Takashi's gang members attack you.
The Bee Kings or something like that?
Yeah, the Bee Kings. They are there, and were they attacking him and you defend them? Is that what happens?
I don't remember.
Well, you beat...
I think... Doesn't he try to hit you with a baseball bat?
Well, he does, yeah. And then you...
Yeah, you fight him.
Yeah, you fight him.
And then his gang comes. The girl runs away. Well, you're fighting him. And then the gang comes and you intercede on his behalf?
Yeah, of course. Like you always do.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that one thing this game needs a lot is more outfits for Kiryu.
You don't like his leisure suit?
I want to dress up Kiryu.
I do too. I totally agree. We should be able to give him haircuts. We should be able to give him outfits. We should be able to get him new tattoos.
Yeah, let me put him in a kimono. That would be great.
I love his tattoo. I think his dragon tattoo is beautiful.
It looks really cool.
And as we find out, it is related to the themes of the game. The dragon and the koi. Next chapter, but we won't get there yet. So you do get, after you beat up the Bee Kings, B standing for beat, baby, boy Kings, like Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yes, these are the boy kings of Tokyo.
Mm-hmm. You head to Debala. And that's where Kyoka's... So I thought it was Kyoka's dad, but it's Kyoka's dad's, like, right-hand man is there, scolding her for stealing the money. Oh. And he thinks that Takashi did it, or, like, got her to do it. But she's like, no, I did it myself. I just don't like my dad very much.
I think that he really thinks that, because the way he says it, it's like... She's like, no, I did it. And he's like, you're confused. He convinced you to do it. Like, that's the narrative that they're going with to save face. And
well, it's probably very convenient politically as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she's not going to give up her boyfriend. And Takashi wants to profess his love to the dad via this guy. Mm-hmm. And then, like, they all fight Kiryu.
Takashi, he's like begging, and the guy's like, you suck. Then everyone fights Kiryu.
This fight was really fun.
Yeah, because there's a special heat move for this area where you can throw people off the balcony.
You can pull TVs down from the ceiling onto the people on the balcony. It's pretty great. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. By the way, speaking of heat moves, there was one that I did that made me like almost. It was so brutal, it made me feel bad. Oh. Like you pick somebody up like you're gonna do like a where you pick them up and their feet are in the air, and then like in wrestling they just fall back and let them land. Mm-hmm. There's one where you pick people up and you fall back, but instead of them landing flat like on the sidewalk, you land them on a rail.
Oh no!
And their back like splits on the rail. It is incredibly violent.
I haven't done that one.
You try to do a heat move next to a rail when you're on the street, and he'll do it. Ooh, it hurts to even watch.
Kira's just putting people in intensive care left and right, and they are never going to be the same.
No.
What a horrible man.
I don't think he realizes his own strength sometimes.
He's an idiot and a terror, and he needs to be put down for the good of society.
Are you saying he's like a Lenny?
Yes.
Why did I have a crush on Lenny as a teen?
Oh, John.
Edit that out, Matt.
He won't. You know he won't.
I know he won't. Anyway, so you beat up everybody.
Lenny and Algernon, John's two big childhood crushes.
Algernon, no. Well, Lenny was so strong. So Asai, that's the right-hand man, gives Kyoka a letter from her dad. And the letter's like, I'm sorry I wasn't a good dad, and I know you'll make the right choices. It was kind of a sweet moment. And meanwhile, watching this on video is her dad sitting with the florist. And they're like, well, funny both of us being here, watching our children together. Kids are something, huh?
Yeah. And then the Yakuza guy's like, so do you hate me? And the florist is like, no, you're just the father of the woman my son loves.
Aww.
And now they're all happy family.
Yay! So that's the end of the oh, no, it's not.
No, there's more. My favorite part of this game so far.
So you head back to Serena because Reina calls and says that Date is passed out drunk.
And he
He
is.
sure has. His phone is ringing. It's his daughter. She's real mad at him standing her up. And Reina thinks that they're supposed to meet at the park down the street or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so you head down there, and on your way into the park, these two girls proposition you for sexy times.
Yeah, these are.
Is that what happens?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
These are children girls. They are in
Children girls.
their school uniforms. They do want you to hire them to do whatever you want with them.
Nothing too weird, though.
Yeah, nothing too weird. Kiryu doesn't want to do anything with them, but then the little wheels of his brain start turning, and he remembers that he's supposed to be looking for a young woman there. Or maybe he hears
the
one
one
of
girl
them call the other one.
Saya, yeah.
Yeah. So Kiryu doesn't even make that leap of deduction. He's just standing around and you're like, come on, Saya, let's go. And Kiryu's like, Saya, your daughter's daughter.
He grabs her
and
hand.
She's like, yeah. She doesn't like that. She's like, you suck. Goodbye. Runs away.
Mm-hmm. And then you find out that she has been... how do you find this out, that she's got in bad with the... I think she explains it, that she's like, it has a crush on a host, and she's in debt to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you follow her to Stardust, where the guy won't let you in at first because they don't like dudes coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Until someone's like, no,
because they'll compete with the hosts.
No, that's not why. But then someone's like, oh no, he's friends with the owner. So you go in there and you see this guy. He's going by Shota. Oh, well, first you have to go to this other... There's just this weird detour where you have to go to another club to find out where this guy Shotaro works. And to get the answer, you have to find out what the most expensive liquor is. And it's the oldest. Spoiler alert.
It's stupid. This is so frustrating because you go to a place, do a thing for 2 minutes that's pointless, go to another place and do another point, and you go to it feels like 27 different places in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he might be the one that's sort of explaining how he's been getting in debt for a client, because so she keeps racking up debts and he's covering for them, and that he's now working at Stardust, which is where your friends work. So you go there, and
and when Kiryu goes there, he has this moment where he stops outside the club and looks up at the sign. And he's like, "So this is Stardust?" It's like, you've been here, idiot.
Come on.
He's so stupid.
So you get inside, and there is Shota with Kyoka. And Kyoka does tell you that she's not normally a prostitute. She just needs some emergency cash because
that's what she says.
Yeah.
She says oh, it's my first time. I was wanting to do it with someone who'd be kind and gentle like you for my first time. I hope everyone's like you. Maybe we can see each other again. Maybe you have a nice apartment I can stay in. It's my first time.
So, wow, Vanessa's going weird with this.
Yeah, let's make it weirder.
Can't hustle a hustler.
So Shota is there, but then Date runs in and kind of ruins everything. He yells at his daughter for having a crush on this idiot boy with dumb hair.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, this boy sucks, you're a prostitute, you're all terrible.
And he slaps his daughter. So let's we'll count that down as slap one.
Yeah, slap one, listeners. So stay tuned.
You should, John. Wait, is Matt editing?
Yes.
Matt, when you edit this, every time we mention a child slap, make a bell sound, like a ding.
I thought you were gonna say make a slap sound.
Can you insert the sound of a child crying?
she runs off super upset. But then right outside you hear she's like, "What? No, who are you guys? Leave me alone." And you run outside to see what the commotion is. And she's being assaulted by street thugs who are working for loan sharks. Not street sharks.
And
I
Date
wish it
tries
was street
to
sharks.
to interfere, and she's calling him dad, but they're like, "Who are you? Get out! This isn't any of your business." It's like, clearly her dad. She just said so. Naturally, he'd be concerned, but they don't care.
So Date and you
They got some
roll these
slapping to do.
guys and just wreck them.
Yeah.
You know, they are not good people. And Kyoka is very apologetic. She says she knows where the loan sharks are, and Date runs off to go take care of them. And Kiryu's way far behind. So you cut to Date at the loan shark office. He's already been beaten up, and they are like, "Well, we're going to kill you." And then they find out he's a cop, and they're like, "Well, we're okay with killing cops. We're tough guys." Right?
For a criminal system that's supposed to have like honor and rules, these people
these
don't
guys are not
follow
Yakuza.
a lot of rules.
These guys are just like
Okay.
loan shark thugs. And also, their leader. Who's their leader, Vanessa?
I don't
Shota.
know.
Yeah, the boyfriend
Shota?
is the leader of these thugs. So these loans that he's
These
loans that he's getting to because of to save her, actually he's the one extorting her and making her prostitute herself to enrich himself. It's all a scam.
Yeah, and I think he has a lot of probably ladies that he pulls the same thing with.
So
Interesting.
This is exactly what John was afraid would happen to him when we first talked about host clubs. Becoming too emotionally invested and being easily manipulated into thinking you have some kind of relationship outside of this transactional relationship. And it gets you into trouble.
Turn out to be secret loan sharks. So he's a real bad guy. So Kiryu walks in. At the same time, you see what's her face? What's her name again? Not Kyoka. Saya. Saya's there, and she's like watching it and realizing that her boyfriend is horrible. And Kiryu beats them all up and smashes them against desks and such. And then there's a tearful reunion between Date, who apologizes for being a lousy dad, and Saya, who apologizes for being a lousy daughter. There was a moment before where Kiryu says, "You won't find love with a host. You will find love with the one person who truly loves you, your father."
Yeah, cool.
Oh, that's a cool thing to say.
Yeah. Well, Kiryu doesn't understand how sex works. So, presumably, he's not factoring that into his metaphor.
So then next... so they reunite, and you cut to them back in the park where you met her as a prostitute. And you go to this park a lot. Like, I think you go to this park three times in this episode.
Yeah, you do.
You find her dressed like a schoolgirl, but properly this time. And she is going to go back to school and ignore boys and be a good child.
Yeah, good for her.
Everything works out in the end.
So glad.
That's it for our Yakuza Kiwami
That's it
series.
for this episode of Square Roots.
You get a little cutscene of Date with his bosses, and his bosses are vaguely threatening him. You get a lot of these cutscenes where Date's like meeting with the higher ups, and they're like, "You shouldn't be investigating these robberies and these disappearances. You're not doing that, right?" And Date's like, "No." Tell me what you think about me.
And back in like chapter 3 or 4, Date mentions that he's like not on the same beat that he was before, and then it's alluded, it's kind of vaguely mentioned that is he working like organized
He sure is,
crime
and this
beat
does
now?
seem to be his purview, but his bosses keep coming in vaguely saying that he shouldn't be looking into what he's looking into and then leaving.
Yeah, I mean, that's all he's doing is hanging out and investigating organized crime-related activity, and they're telling him not to do it.
It's very suspicious.
Yeah, I think this goes all the way to the top guys. This smells.
The one guy with glasses is from Division 1, which I think is a federal agency. The one, the young guy, he comes back again and talks about how he admired Date, but that's the end of chapter 7. I think this guy is like an FBI, basically.
Oh. So maybe he is immune from the corrupting influence of the local Yakuza.
I think that might be part of it. So that's the end of chapter 6, Father and Child.
Great chapter. Really developed characters. Advanced the plot. We got to see 2 different kinds of, well, I guess 3 different kinds of father-child relationship. We saw the florist and his son. We saw the Yakuza boss and his daughter. And we saw Date and his daughter. To be a good father, you should send Kiryu to do something for you. Have him beat up a whole bunch of people. And
meanwhile,
that's all.
Kiryu's letting his sort of daughter for the moment sleep on a couch with a small blanket over her. In a bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chapter 7. Let's go back. Jim, aren't you really curious about past Nishiki and what happened in the 10 years?
No. For one, these cutscenes are like a 10-second snippet of his life. Like they barely push the flashback plot forward.
They also explain nothing. It's
like, I know, yeah,
this flashback will explain what became of Nishi. It doesn't. They
don't answer any questions raised by the rest of the game.
So in this flashback, past Nishiki is down and out in the alley, and Shimano, that's Eyebrows Man, comes in to tell him that he's not keeping his men in line properly, which we know from the last cutscene. Shimano says this is all on purpose. Kazama has given him a family full of guys who will not respect him because Kazama wants Nishiki to fail. He really wants Kiryu to take over for him after he's out of jail. He's like, normally killing a boss would be bad for your prestige in your career, but it's only made Kiryu more legendary and powerful.
Legendary and powerful.
So it seems like.
Hey, before we get into this next chapter, can we have a brief aside for some sub-stories?
Do you want to? I was going to save those. Yeah, I'll save those for the end, I think.
Yeah, okay. Save it for John's bullshit sub-story.
We can make it
corner.
Vanessa's or Jim's sub-story corner. It doesn't have to be mine.
Oh, yeah, let's have Jim's bullshit sub-story
that sounds
corner.
Perfect.
Sure.
So, I guess the whole point here is that Shimano is guiding Nishiki to dislike Kazama. That's like the little bit you get from this nugget of his past. If you remember, Kazama's the one who gets shot in that boardroom.
I don't remember. Of course I don't remember. I cannot keep these people straight. There are so many of them.
Yeah, Kazama is like Kiryu's father figure and Nishiki's father figure.
Right. He did get shot.
He's the one who could have totally cleared Kiryu's name in that room after he got shot, but decided not to.
And Shimano...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's also the one who told Kiryu not to go the night that Nishiki killed what's his name.
Oh, Dojima. Right, yeah.
Sure.
So, Date's got some pictures. They aren't good pictures.
No.
I always want to say date.
He found...
Date has some pictures.
There's a part, where it tells you at the beginning or at the end of like a cutscene the next thing you're supposed to do, like go to Serena or whatever. There's one that says help date or help
Yeah.
It says help Date, like when you're in purgatory, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So
Supposed to help help someone date?
He's got, and they're discussing this next to this lady's daughter. He's found Mizuki's body.
Yeah, but she's asleep.
Yeah,
not
Mizuki's sleeping forever.
Dead, I guess.
Yep.
Forever. The little girl's asleep, and they're like, we can't tell her. Whatever we do, we cannot tell her that her mother is dead. Why they think this is the right course of action,
They're punished
I do not
for
know.
this. Like, I think the
Yeah.
emotional soul of the game tells them this is the bad decision in a few minutes. But right now,
Yeah.
they see the body. So if this is, I guess this hasn't proved that Yumi isn't Mizuki, which was...
Well, what they found was a body with a unrecognizable face, but the same tattoo that Mizuki had. So clearly it's a Mizuki. And there's no way it's not Mizuki. And boy, if it turns out it's not Mizuki, will I be shocked.
Will you be shocked if it was Mizuki and Yumi and her are two separate people?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
That's like an anti-twist.
Ooh, anti-twist. That would be cool.
Ooh, narrative.
Yeah. The whole time it was the person you thought who did it.
I like how
time.
the game doesn't think you'll
Wow.
remember that this tattoo and then flashes back to the picture of the lady with that tattoo earlier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they help us out.
I guess the game accurately figures you might not be able to keep track of all the people in this game.
Yeah, because there's 18 million people in this game.
So Kiryu's like, but look at the Uta logo here. This is done by my tattoo artist, Utabori II. He did his and Nishiki's tattoos. So you go visit this guy, this nice old man, who gives you a little tattoo freshening. You get to watch Kiryu get his tattoo refreshed.
Yeah, you go see Utabori, and he's like, "Oh, you're here for some touch-up work on your tattoo." And Kiryu's like, "No, I'm investigating a murder. It's really serious. We don't have any time to spare." And he's like, "Okay, but I have to do some touch-up work on your tattoo." And Kiryu's like, "No, I just want to, get to the bottom of this. I'm taking care of this child." But the tattoo artist explains that Kiryu needs his tattoo to be in top shape in order to go against Nishiki, whose tattoo has been touched up recently.
I thought it was like vibrant
And
because he is vibrant and powerful now. I thought it was a metaphor.
That's not how tattoos work. So no, I don't think that's the case. I think that he's just trying to drum up more business. He tells Kiryu that Nishiki's tattoo is the koi. The koi swims up the Yellow River to the Dragon Gate to become a dragon. But Kiryu is already a dragon. But a dragon can't beat a koi if the koi is a vibrant koi and the dragon is a dull dragon. So Kiryu's got to get vibrant. He also says that he did not do the tattoo on Mizuki, that people have been ripping him off, but he knows exactly what the tattoo is. He says it's a flower of some sort that blooms somewhere or rather along the banks of the Yellow River and watches the koi swim the Yellow River.
And it blooms only one day a year.
Probably blooms only one day a year, and that is the day that the dragon and the koi fight one another. So the koi tries to become a dragon. I might have made some of that.
But it sounded really good.
Seems
So I
accurate to me.
definitely
sounded really good.
I bought a flower this past year, the hostas. I didn't even know. I thought it was just a fern, but it does flower like one day a year. It's really neat. It's beautiful.
Oh.
This beautiful bloom comes out.
We have a Christmas cactus in here, and it is blooming because it is Christmas time.
It's simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. I think that is the worst Christmas song.
Everyone hates it, except I was watching a Twitch streamer, and he said that it was his favorite Christmas song, which seems like
Whoa.
lunacy.
Cancel that streamer.
Twitch is a weird place, friends.
That's why Microsoft made Mixer.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite Christmas song, Vanessa?
Me least favorite Christmas song. I know everyone says Christmas shoes. I can't really say that because I don't think I've ever heard Christmas shoes.
I've only heard it in the context of Lindsay Ellis and Patton Oswalt talking about it.
Yes, I have heard Patton Oswalt's bit about it. But I don't think I've actually heard the song. Maybe Little Drummer Boy. And I know there's that
so sad.
That David Bowie Bing Crosby duet where Bing Crosby's like brum, and David Bowie's like, peace on earth, can it be? Yes, from now, perhaps we'll see. Brum. Yeah, that one kind of gets on my nerves. I guess it's because I used to like it when I was a kid because I liked Bowie, so I thought everything that Bowie did was good.
I
Turns
was
out,
a poor boy too.
See, yeah, it's terrible. The drum. First of all, don't go to a newborn baby's house and bang a drum. Like, that's just rude.
But he didn't cry. That was the big thing.
I banged the drum and the baby didn't cry, even though I was banging a loud-ass drum next to the baby.
So, question, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I haven't. Jim, what's your least favorite Christmas song?
Easy. Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Oh.
It's tacky and stupid, and only stupid people like it.
I saw a great tweet about that this week. That was like, actually, Grandma was in ICU. Grandma didn't get run over by a reindeer. Grandma was mauled and injured by a reindeer and clung on for 3 days in the ICU. You monster.
I guess I saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus is pretty bad too. Especially because it's usually done in like that little kid voice, you know, like.
So someone told me that they think the idea is that the dad, their interpretation of that song is that the father was dressed as Santa Claus, not that the mom was.
Well, yeah.
I always thought it was that the mom was just fucking around.
No, it's the dad dresses up as Santa Claus to deliver the presents, and then the kid peeks down the stairs, and Mom
I think
is
I like my interpretation
better. John is watching the Brazzers version.
I thought it was just like, oh, my husband's not here. How about we cuck him?
What a laugh it would have been if Daddy had only seen Mama kissing Santa Claus last
In
night.
his cuck shed.
I saw Mommy cucking Santa Claus.
That should be a version that should be released. That's you know what? Copyright Square Roots.
Yeah.
2019.
Stay tuned for the Square Roots Baby Fresh Eyes Christmas album.
Cucking Daddy with Santa Claus. Santa cucked Daddy.
All right. So, what's your favorite Christmas song, Vanessa?
Oh, obviously Last Christmas by Wham. Every year people is like, it's Whamageddon. You have to try not to hear this song by Wham. I'm like, why would I try not to hear that song? Sometimes I'll listen to that song in July. I don't care. That's a great song. I love it. Last Christmas. Give it a listen.
you know, I bet Matthew has a really great parody version of that song.
Yeah.
I think it would be like, Last Christmas, I Gave You My Fart.
Oh,
That's
hey.
another song for the album.
Uh-huh. All right, Matt, you can cut yourself here. Put yourself in singing a couple of verses from that song.
Mm-hmm.
Last Christmas, I Gave You My Fart.
Have you guys ever heard of the band The Darkness? They sing that I Believe in a Thing Called Love song.
Yeah, of course.
They have a couple Christmas songs. They usually put out a Christmas song.
Guitar!
They did one a couple years ago called I Am Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing and hilarious. One of the lyrics is, I am Santa, manufacturer and distributor of toys.
Nice.
it's a legitimately good song.
Is that your favorite Christmas song, Jim?
That is my favorite Christmas song.
I think my favorite Christmas song is Here We Come a Wassailing.
What?
I love that song. It's beautiful. Wassailing on the leaves of green. Here we come a wassailing. Yeah, it's
Do you
great.
know what a wassail is?
It's toast prepared in wine.
Interesting. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's like a winey, like it's soaked up in the toast.
It's a winey toast.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm toast. Ooh, I don't like being in wine. Ugh.
And my least favorite Christmas song, Wonderful Christmas Time. It is very bad. Anyway, back to this game.
War is over if you want.
See, that one, I didn't like it for the longest time. But it's like, well, I mean, yes, it's billionaires making you feel bad about celebrating Christmas. But it's also like the whole war was going on right now. There's always wars going on. It's about inequality, and there's worse things to think about in Christmas, even if it's kind of a depressing song.
A very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
So then you go back to Serena with your
Feliz
info.
Navidad.
And unfortunately, Haruka is mad. She's like, why are you investigating stuff without me? What aren't you telling me? And Kiryu's like, you'll have to trust me. And she's like, no, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You're obviously holding back from me. I want to find my mom, and you're not helping, and you're not telling me stuff. And then Kiryu gets mad and slaps her.
Yeah, he sure does. Remind
Slap
the listeners.
number 2.
Yeah, this is a, let's say, 6-year-old child. Maybe 7, 8 at the most. And he does slap her across the face with an open palm. He's a monster.
Yep.
Wait, why does he slap? I missed the slap.
Because she's upset that he's not telling her what's happening.
That's not an appropriate reason for us. Not that there would be an appropriate reason to slap a child.
I was about to say, Jim.
But that's wildly inappropriate.
So she runs away, and they're like, well, I guess we got to go find Haruka. And who is it? Is it the florist that says she seemed to be heading towards a park? Someone gives her him that info.
I don't remember.
So you try some public parks, and she's not there. And eventually the florist calls with a tip that she's at Public Park 3, which is the park where you got propositioned by the other girl. So you head back there, and there is just a man in a weird suit. He's some kind of like other criminal organization, and they want they've set up something for you. And you go to Stardust, where they are there with all their guns, and they have Haruka, and they want the amulet, which you have, and they
Don't
arrange.
you have to go through he tells you that there are 3 different gangs that could have taken her. Are we missing something?
There's 3 different parks you have to go to.
Right.
Or 2 different parks that she's not at, and then you go to Park 3, and that's where she's at.
Okay.
But it's just a lot of running around, but not much actually happens narrative-wise.
Yeah.
You can do a bunch of side quests in the meantime. So there is now this hostage negotiation, which goes poorly.
It goes great.
Oh. Okay, how's it go, Vanessa?
So they have this little girl. They want the pendant that she was wearing. We discussed it last time. It is the pendant that is worth 30 billion yen, or however much money everyone keeps talking about. My theory is that they
10 billion.
melted down the 10 billion yen and made it into this necklace.
Which you explained that last episode. I didn't understand what you're saying, and now I do. It would be a very large necklace.
Yeah, it's a huge ball of necklace. I don't know.
It's like a Flavor Flav clock.
It's like a Flavor Flav clock. It is the size of this child, and it's made of pure gold. So they're like, give us this pendant, we will give you the child. And Kiryu's like, give us the child first. They won't do it. So Kiryu throws the pendant up into the air, waves his hands like he just don't care, but Date does care. The little girl's walking down the stairs. Date runs up the stairs, grabs the girl just as the guy who had been holding her attempts to shoot her. Or is possibly attempting to shoot Date.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's aiming at, it looks like he's aiming at Haruka.
Yeah. So she does get shot just a little bit.
Only a little.
Only a little. Kiryu decides to beat them all up because, of course, he does.
That's how he solves his problems.
That solves his problems. There's one left alive or conscious, and he's like, tell me who hired you? And then this guy, like some other rando guy, just pokes his head around the corner with a gun and shoots the guy who Kiryu's interrogating.
What do they call these? All these guys are named like Mysterious Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, all he says is like Jin something.
Yeah, he says Jin, and then he gets shot in the head.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people getting offed, just like shot real cold-blooded. Why didn't the guy shoot Kiryu?
He could have shot Kiryu in the head. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
He seemed to be a pretty good shot.
Yeah. And also, where did he come from? Why wasn't he fighting before? Was he just, like, hiding in the corner waiting to see if someone was left to interrogate? And does this mean that the other people are definitely dead? Because then Kiryu could interrogate them if they're just unconscious, so he must have killed
That's
them,
true.
right?
This implies that yeah, you murdered everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I also like that you find out what's happened to Yuya and the rest of the Stardust gang. They are trapped in the closet.
The Stardust Boys.
Mm-hmm. They're trapped in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
They're out in the closet. They're locked in a closet.
Yeah, which the bad guys kind of told you that before, but then you don't let them out of the closet. They just eventually break out on their own.
And yeah, they explain that even with all their martial arts prowess, as soon as guns were brought out, they were powerless.
Yeah, which just goes to show you that the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Is a Kiryu with magic dragon powers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I even made that joke. Gun control now. So that's it.
No, that's
No.
not it.
Oh.
Keeps going from here.
Right.
So Kiryu at this point apologizes to Haruka that he couldn't keep her mom alive, that she's killed.
He decides to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to apologize for slapping her, but he does not do that.
Mm-mm.
She seems to forgive him. She tenderly cups his face in her little hand.
She's the bullet wound's only a graze, so it doesn't even need medical attention, according to a cop.
Yeah, parenting tip, if your child just gets grazed by a bullet, it's probably fine.
And the florist arranges some housing out in Purgatory where they can stay. They won't be hassled by the cops, and they won't be hassled by the Yakuza.
Yeah. So Kiryu stays there with Haruka and keeps her safe.
And then they decide to go out for a night on the town. Because what does a child like doing more than gambling?
Gambling!
There's a full city full of possibilities. There's a toy store that Haruka's very excited about going to. She's like, but it was closed. And Kiryu's like, that was a toy store for grown-ups. She's like, and she's like, well, grown-ups don't play with toys. And he's like, they aren't the normal. They're grown-up toys.
This is all very inappropriate.
And then he's like, well, you see, and she's like, well, do you play with it? He's like, well, I don't. but some parents do, but not me.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
you get
don't,
told
Kiru.
about the secret gambling house behind a lottery station, and instead of going to the arcade or to a restaurant or any of the kid-friendly locations, you go to this gambling house.
Yeah, and this is where this little girl reveals that she's psychic, I guess?
Yep.
Because they're playing a gambling game where this guy's rolling some dice, and you have to guess if it's going to be an even number or an odd number. Very straightforward, 50-50 odds gambling game. But Haruka is cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
She
she
is-
always knows what's going to happen.
Quickly reaching a statistically improbable series of good guesses. And then the dealer excuses himself, comes back, and plays again, and she's wrong.
Yeah, and everyone is like, oh.
And then Kiryu stands up to leave, but they won't let him leave. So then he gets into a fight with some people. And in this little scuffle, the dice that the dealer was dealing with rolls off on the floor, and one of them has little creepy robot tendrils coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. This is the Matrix.
It looked very Matrixy. And I
Yeah.
guess the robot tendrils like help move the dice to whatever position that the dealer wants it to be in.
I was thinking about how this would work. I guess if you had them stick out of every even or odd number, but that wouldn't really even make any sense because it's 2 dice. I don't know.
Maybe they come out to like as it's rolling in order to manipulate like the physics of the roll.
Yeah, I think that must be the case.
Yeah.
So
I think he could change them too. Like he could, but he would have to know what they are. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
he must
actually,
have
right?
a friend on a computer with a little Wi-Fi device listening in, and then
The next there's a tank and Dozer in the next room.
yeah. And then when someone chooses even or odd, they manipulate it so it will be that number, and that's what they do.
This next fight I thought was kind of difficult.
It was. I died here for sure.
Yeah, I almost died here. Like it's like you're essentially fighting like 2 bosses at the same time in the next part.
Mm-hmm.
Right across the street around here is a pharmacy that sells the ones that will restore your health completely. The Toronar X.
Oh yeah, I bought
Empress.
some of those.
So I filled my after having to play through this second half of this chapter twice because I got stuck at the last boss. I went and just filled my inventory with those, and I also got some armor from the pawn shop that makes you very resistant to blade damage because the final boss is really hard if you don't have that. But this fight was still kind of tricky because it's like it's kind of a small location and there's not a lot of objects to throw around.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little tricky.
This is one of the fights where that move where you pick somebody up off the ground and swing them around came in really handy.
Yeah, I got to practice doing that more because that one's just fun.
Yeah, it is really fun.
So you get through the bodyguards and the dealer, and then the owners of the casino come in and apologize because they say, well, this guy was just a vagrant they found. They hired to be a dealer. They didn't know he was cheating.
I don't believe that. Come on. They're like, this was his first night. We've never had anyone cheating before. It will never happen.
I've never dealt dice before. This is my
S.
first time dealing
No.
dice, and
Nobody believes that. Come on.
So they're very apologetic, and Haruka thanks you for a great night on the town. She's totally forgotten about her bullet wound and her dead mom. She's doing just great.
Mm-hmm.
I like how everyone tells her, they're like, be careful. She's like, nah, she's fine. She got shot. She's fine as long as she doesn't push herself too hard.
She's super chill. At some point, she starts calling him Uncle Kiru. They're really bonding.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she never had a relationship with her mother, so it maybe isn't that far-fetched that she wouldn't be that devastated, but I don't know.
It still seems pretty sad.
It's a quick bounce back for sure.
Yeah. So at this point, you get her back to Purgatory, and it's now time to meet up with Nishiki, because Nishiki has called, I guess. Did he call to arrange this meeting? He said he was going to meet you at Serena. I think it was a phone call.
Yeah, it was.
So you're going to go back to Serena and have your little dinner with Nishiki.
Our best friend and brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of that dinner, you are no longer brothers. Finally, the plot moves forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Finally.
You get there, and Nishi's like, okay, so yes, I did shoot Kazama, and yes, I put a tracking device on Shinji, so I know their every move, and yes, I didn't kill, Mizuki was killed, but it went by me, and a little flashback to recent Nishiki, seeing the dead body, and I guess, so you think that it still might not be her because he couldn't see her face?
Yeah.
Because he knows what she looks like, or he knows what Yumi looks like anyway.
Yeah, so he had his goons interrogating her, and then they did kill her, and he gets very upset and beats his goons to death.
He shoots them in the facey face.
Oh, does he? I thought maybe he pistol whipped them, but you're right.
No, he shoots one, and then the other's like, no, don't shoot me. And he's like, that was Yumi's sister! And shoots both of them, and then his little buddies are like, oh, yes, sir. We'll clean this up right away, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Ew. And so he's sad about that. He has Yumi's ring with him.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's keeping as like a keepsake, because that was found at the scene of the robbery. So I guess he didn't arrange the robbery, or did he?
It's hard to tell. And Yumi was also like a sister to him, right?
Yeah, you all grew up together.
But I also got the impression at the beginning of the game that he was maybe romantically interested in her.
Totes.
Totes my goats.
Totes.
Totes.
He wants to ride the Y train.
What? So
Are we using slang?
we're using slang.
Sounds dope.
Yeah. We're
And-
good at youth.
So then
Oh, by the way, my daughter started saying yeet,
oh,
no.
nice.
and it's kind of the coolest thing in the world. It's like something we just like chirp at each other. I'll be like, hey, do you want to like go get something to eat? And she'll go, yeet. And I'll go, yeet, yeet. And then we'll go.
You're the coolest dad. So then, at this point, Kiryu, after finding out Nishiki shot Kazama, is like real mad and punches Nishiki. And Nishiki's like, well, you're a jerk and you suck. And we aren't even brothers anymore. I'm leaving.
Yeah, and then Kiryu's like, do you hate me? And Nishiki's like, I guess maybe I do and always did. It's very strange.
And he goes outside, and then his goons are like, you still want us to execute Order 66? And Nishi's like, yes, execute Order 66.
Yes, the younglings.
So first they try killing Kiryu with wood swords, which seems like a dumb idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are not sharp and don't hurt him. So Kiryu punches through those guys real easy, and then goes outside, and Koji Shindo and the rest of Nishiki's goons are there with regular swords.
Mm-hmm.
And this is way harder.
Yes.
So if you have that chainmail vest from the pawn shop, it's actually not too hard, but it's still like a big fight, and you still can get slashed pretty bad by this guy. I got stuck here. The game kept telling me to turn down the difficulty. I was like, no, I'm going to load my save from an hour ago, redo all that crap, and then come back here. I did it.
You can save at any point in this game, essentially.
I just forgot, okay?
Okay.
So, then that's it. Kiryu walks away from the bodies of all the guys that he punched very hard. And that's the end of chapter 7.
What will happen now?
Whoa.
We'll have to play to chapter 11 next time. But before we finish this little chunker, how about we talk about Jim's side questery?
Jim's bullshit side quest corner.
Oh, wow.
There's so many good ones. But I wanted to talk about one that's called The Price of an F Cup.
Sorry,
This
did you say Epcot?
No.
Cup. So this sub-story begins with Kiryu walking down a street, and he encounters a lady who's being chased by a drunk man. And you, I don't remember if you fight the drunk man or just tell him to leave, but the woman is so grateful. She goes, I just want to spend a night with an actual gentleman, and there's this bar over here. How about we go have a drink together? And then you go. And she ends up drugging you, but like teasing you while you're talking. She refers to herself as ripe and wishes you would take a nibble. Mm-hmm. And then
she keeps guessing.
mentions that she hasn't been touched in so long,
and she's really anxious to find out if Kiryu has a big penis.
Can I just say that this is in the midst of everything else that is going on. So like Haruka being shot and trying to find Yumi and this murder mystery and being under threat by the Yakuza. But Kiryu just decides to go on a date.
Yeah. And this lady, like I said, she mentioned she hasn't gotten any action in a long time, so she just keeps buying you drinks.
The camera throughout this entire date is, let's say it's at chest level of this woman.
Well, she's very busty.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a very low-cut shirt. And she buys you a couple drinks, and eventually you pass out, and you wake up in an alley, and 100,000 of your yen is gone. Mm-hmm. And the drunk guy's there, and he's like, "Oh, she got you." And then I just randomly ran into her later. She's standing at the side of the street, and then she's like, "Oh no, they made me do it. Go into the bar, and then you just fight everyone in the bar and get your money back."
Oh, I didn't get my money back. I never finished that one, I guess.
Yeah, she's standing like right across the street from the bar, like later on in the game, and you run into her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." And then she tells you how to get your money back. Go to the bar and beat everybody up.
Now, Vanessa, I don't know if this lady's an F cup. I don't know that much about cup sizes, but her chest didn't seem that big.
No, an F cup, cup sizes are kind of misleading. So a lot of men don't really get it. You have two elements to the brassiere.
The left and the right?
No. The circumference of the torso and then the circumference of the breast itself. So, for example, a 34A would mean that you have 34 inches all the way around your chest. And then the breast itself is an A cup, meaning that, if you were to take a little circumference-y thing and draw around it, that is how big it would be. So you could have someone who is like a, let's say I don't know, like a 42A, and they might have larger breasts than someone who is a 34C, I think. I don't know if that's true.
I'm really confused.
What am I talking about? I don't know how it works.
Why was this side quest called The Price of an F Cup?
Because that's the cost of having a drink with a busty woman.
Do they mention it at some point, Jim, or is it just that the camera's always on her boobs?
Mention her breast size?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
It's never referenced. Oh, well, I guess like after you finish the side quest, Kiryu has like an inner monologue where he's like, I should be more careful around, big-breasted women or something like that.
There's an almost identical side quest where it's really bad.
Okay, so
not-
the cup size is the band size minus the bust size. So
Okay.
If your band is like, you measure your band, which is like right below the breast, and then you measure the bust, which is like right across the center of the bust, and then you subtract the band size from the bust size, and that's the cup size. So it's all about proportion more than being like, there's no actual measurement of like, this is a C cup or this is a D cup. And
It's
there
like-
actually is no F cup. F cup is just a double D cup, but US sizes are strange.
So the other mission you get is this lady who really wants to go on a date with you, and she thinks you're super hot. And then it cuts to a black screen where you hear Kiryu make grossed out sounds, and then it cuts back and his health is depleted, and he is upset because this is a trans woman. And,
Cool.
Oh, yikes.
And then she has, I think, stolen your wallet at the same time. And then her brother comes to defend her. And then the brother is called Little Sister because the brother is a trans man. And then you fight the lady, and in the end he's like, look, I don't care what your gender is, you just don't scam me and steal my wallet. So it's not that bad in the end.
That's
he's like
progressive.
I mean, it's for this game that's as progressive as you're probably going to get. He's like, you're fine, just don't steal my money. But the whole reacting and losing health because you touch a penis part is not great.
That's true, though. I don't know if y'all have ever touched a penis, but your health saps right away.
Why do you think I'm sick? I have to touch a penis every day.
That's true.
I was going to say at the end of the F Cup Quest 2, if you go and fight the dudes in the bar, they give you access to a secret casino that's under a ramen shop.
Ooh.
So you have to go and order like some kind of special ramen with like a side of half rice or something like that, and then they let you in the secret casino.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I love casino mini games.
I played a little bit, we'll talk about the minigame corner, but what other side quests are there that you want to talk about?
I did do the one where you have to escort, or you have to like show around the judo master guy, who John told me today is a real person.
Mm-hmm.
What?
He is.
How?
What is his name, John? You posted it here in the chat. It is Shinichi Shinohara.
Yeah.
And so you run into this couple who's fighting in the street, and Kiryu jumps in to fight the guy, and it turns out they weren't actually, I mean, they were arguing, but it wasn't a big deal.
Oh, this was a great comedy of errors, though.
Yeah, so you're like apologizing to this guy, and then the guy like whips a knife out, and then this giant man judos this guy onto the ground and like has him in an armbar about to break his arm, and it turns out that was a misunderstanding on top of this other misunderstanding.
And then the cop comes in and he's going to
and
arrest
then there's a cop comes in and so there's another misunderstanding, and eventually everybody apologizes to one another, but this judo guy who's like a celebrity, who's referred to as the big-headed man at first.
Mm-hmm. He does have a very large head.
He does have a really large head. It's actually really funny because he's trying to apologize to the man and the woman that he assaulted, and they look at him and then they run away screaming. But he says that he's a tourist in the area. He's just visiting, and he wants you to take him around. So you take him to like a beef like a barbecue restaurant, and he orders everything on the menu. And Kiryu makes a joke that he ate two whole cows in one meal. And then you take him to a hostess club, and he drinks like 3 bottles of liquor. And then he wants to have an exciting like fight, so you take him to the like fight club in Purgatory.
Yeah.
And then he wins 3 rounds in a row, and then you fight him and beat him, and he's like becomes your really good friend.
Yay!
Yeah.
And
But
he's
it's kind
a
of-
real person.
Yeah, he's
He
playing
is a
himself.
real judo champion.
So this
And
is
he's-
like if you had a US game and like John Cena showed up on a side
Yeah, or
quest.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
or
this is
something.
like if Tony Hawk showed up in like a Grand Theft Auto.
And he's like, I'll teach you how to skateboard.
Yeah.
Do you get to learn his rad judo moves?
You don't. You just fight him, and then he's like, and then he mentions that that was like the coolest thing ever, and he's happy that he lost to you. And then he mentions that you can come back and fight him whenever you want.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
If y'all could put any real life person into a game to teach you something, who would you choose and what would they teach you?
Ooh.
Oh, good question.
If the answer is teach me how to kiss, is that inappropriate, Vanessa?
Well, on the one hand, you would be talking about your fantasies about a real person teaching you to kiss.
Yep.
On the other hand, I talk
All
about
right.
the Hollywood Chris's essentially every single episode.
Oh, let me see. I'm sure I could figure out someone that isn't just me wanting to smooch them. What's something I want to learn?
You like cars? Maybe someone could teach you a car thing.
Yeah, but all those car guys on TV are bad.
Who is on TV who you just want to be
Oh.
your pal?
How about Cynthia Rothrock could show me? Well, I guess it's a lot like the game, but she could show me how to do crazy kung fu moves.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Wait, what movie? Where do I know that name from?
She was in like all sorts of low budget movies, but she's like this amazing martial artist.
Man, there's a movie I'm thinking of that she was in. I can't remember what it is, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. What about you, Jim?
I think I'd like to learn karate from somebody too. If I could learn karate from, I say karate, but some whatever martial art it is, from maybe like Donnie Yen, that would be pretty cool. Or like if Keanu Reeves could show up and show me how to be a good friend.
Aw.
I'd like that too.
I could get like some cool runway model to show me how to pose and strut. That'd be fun.
I'd like Guy Fieri to teach me how to make donkey sauce.
What's donkey sauce?
Only his special signature sauce. Sold at every flavor town across America.
All right, back to the game. We're almost done. We're so close. Well, I guess we still have a couple more side quests. Can I mention one, Jim?
Sure.
If you go, you know that main street, the one like to the south? If you walk around there, Vanessa, you should definitely do this one.
Okay.
There is someone who comes to talk to you and says you would be perfect for their banana bar.
A
You're like,
banana bar?
Yeah, you're like, what's a banana bar? He's like, you know, big hulking men like you with your broad chests and your strong muscles wear little tight little bikinis and show off for the ladies.
Oh.
We call
That
them
sounds
banana
nice.
hammocks. And we just need you. You're already in because you're so great at this. But we just need you to do a little interview and tell us why you'd want to become a male stripper.
But he doesn't want to become a male stripper.
I aced this interview, Vanessa.
Nice.
I had Kiryu talking about how his muscles make him feel beautiful, and there's nothing more beautiful in the moment when two men's muscles meet in a fight, and how it makes him feel virile and strong, and how he likes to show off his chest and expose his muscles for everyone to see. And they're all blown away by his answers.
Wow.
It was fantastic. But then, unfortunately, they ran out of funding before they can open the bar. So he never gets to.
So you
I was
don't
really
get to
hoping
see
for
Kiru in his little banana hammock?
I was really hoping. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
game, come on.
Throw us a bone.
If you know what I mean.
Throw us a banana.
There's also a side quest you can do with Haruka, with this boxer guy she meets. It's when you're out on the town with Haruka. I got that trouble finder device that points out where all the side quests are, which makes it a lot easier. And Haruka is a big fan of this boxer. She's been watching him it's like they love boxing at the orphanage, and she asks him to give her an autograph or something, and he slaps the child to the floor. Ding!
Oh. Oh no, I thought she only got slapped once.
Child hitting number 3!
Oh no.
And it turns out that he doesn't. Well, Kiryu gets real mad and they fight. And Kiryu beats him up. He's like, "Oh, even a non-fighter like you can beat me up. I must not be anything." And turns out that he has been ordered to lose the next fight, the big fight, because he owes some money.
Ah.
And then you go and, in the second set of side quests, beat up all the bookies that are extorting him, so that he can fight for real and win with his real sonic punch.
And does he apologize for slapping the child?
He does, yes.
Well, that doesn't make it okay.
It's Haruka's wide-eyed innocence and unwavering support that gives him the power to be strong. I think there's a part 3 to this, but I haven't done the part 3 yet. And that's it for my chunkers. Any more side quests you want to talk about?
Do you have anything, Vanessa?
No.
I'll say, let's save the rest of them for the next step.
Okay. How about we talk about real fast King? I did some more of those. I still don't understand how how do you know what they're choosing, or is it just random every time for like the rock, paper, scissors?
I don't know.
Maybe it's their particular strength or something like that?
Sometimes they flash and have exclamation marks on yours. I'm like, well, is that good or bad? I don't know. I also played some of the casino games. I played roulette, which is fun. And I played the slot car racer too. It's like a sequel to the Yakuza 0 one, where the guy who ran it last time is running this, but he's not doing well financially. And he's asking you to help him find a replacement. We'll talk about that next week.
Does he recognize Kiryu from Yakuza 0?
He does.
How is that possible?
Kiryu looks pretty much the same from 0
yeah,
now.
But this game came out before Yakuza 0.
Well, this Yakuza Kiwami came out at the same time, so I think they're made at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Actually, maybe it was 0 came out first in Japan, and then Kiwami came out. But
this
then they were
is
released.
very confusing.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something that I thought I wanted, and then this game showed me that I do not actually want it?
Please.
Sure.
I always thought it was kind of a minor annoyance when you picked a dialogue option and your character didn't say that exact thing that you selected.
Mm-hmm.
This game, you pick a thing and Kiryu says exactly that, and it is goddamn annoying. I keep waiting for him to add a little characterization to it, put a little, Kiryu spin on it, but he says exactly the thing, exactly the text that you chose.
Oh.
Very flatly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is very interesting because we have talked before about games that don't quite broadcast what your character is going to say in the spirit that they're going to say it in. So you think you're just selecting a polite no, and then they're like, "No, dummy. Why would you even say that? I hate you." And you end up in some kind of fight.
Yeah, and this one it's verbatim.
Right, and then it's just kind of double the work. It's like
It is, yeah, and it's so redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan. Just wanted to put that out there.
Well, it's out there. Listeners, write in and tell us what you think about Jim's opinion.
All right.
See, where are we? Squarely Against?
Yeah. So, chapter 11. That's the next one. Squarely Against. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
This game really clicked for me, this chunker.
All that child slapping.
All that child slapping. It was all the sub-stories, man. They're so fun and just happening upon all these con artists and weirdos in this city is super fun. And all the fights, like I expected the fighting to get old after a while, but it didn't. And I like this game, and I'm roundly for all of the cool sub-stories. What about you, John?
I'm roundly for how the combat gets better as you unlock skills, like a lot better. Because you're like dodging, like now I've got this in the super fast mode. This when you stand up, instead of just standing up slowly, you do the spin attack to stand up. That does knocks people away. And I don't know. I just like that. I kind of wish the combat was this good from the start. Because you do play for about, 10 hours or 7 hours with not great combat until you start unlocking the level 3 skills that get really good.
Yeah. And also, like, the game really clicked, too, when I figured out how the experience system worked.
Right. Because you had 400 points saved up.
I do. And this was, like, and I had spent a bunch, too, but I had gone through a couple chapters and a bunch of side stories, and I had 400 experience points.
It's definitely good to spend those.
Yes.
And I try to pace it evenly between each. So I'm at like 26 for each of them. For like health, heat, and attack. Vanessa, what are you roundly for or squarely against?
Yeah, child slapping. That's what squarely against.
It's real bad.
Very much surprised when Kiryu did slap this child. It made me hate him. I before was kind of neutral on him. I did think he was dumb, but sort of in a harmless way. Now I think he is a monster.
Was it backhand or forehand? I don't remember.
I think it was forehand.
Forehand, so palm side.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not better, but I'm just curious.
It is not.
It's not good. That's it.
All right.
Oh. All right, well, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. No emails this week, but we do have our weekly Patreon plug. So if you were to go to patreon.com/squarerootspodcast and pledge $3, you would get access to our bonus content like our kind of now defunct Level Up series, our Instant Classic Revival. This month we looked at, I guess it would have been last month, we looked at The Outer Worlds. This month we'll have some cool holiday content. And if you were to pledge $5, you would get all of that sweet bonus content plus the ability to vote on our games. So every once in a while we'll put it out to the patrons to vote on our next Square Roots game, and you would have the ability to do that. So if you would like to check it out, like I said, come see us at patreon.com/squarerootspodcast. And as another bonus, every week we read out the names of our patrons on the air. So I'm actually going to kick us off this week. We will start with Sean Gonzalez, the Bad Boy Bobby Midkiff, Tentacle Violation, G. Bailey, Vanessa's mom. John is typing, sorry. Vanessa's mom. Halloween Candy Has Turned My Mouth Into a Desert of Pain, Galendo, Chris Penyak, Hexagon, David Green, Matthew Casterline, Joshua Bennett, Brady A. Berman, Brian Pitt, Tracy Tanoff. It's a Kiwami, Mario. Just Jerry,
right.
Michael Crawford.
It's a Kiwami, Mario.
It's a Kiwami, Mario. Just Jerry, Michael Crawford, Stephen Kroc, Ryan Miller, Stu Skeel, Wonder Swan, Andy Smith, Space Harrier Everywhere, Randy Pierce, PJ Enns, Jameson, Tyler Petty, James Hostetler, D. Jethro, Lex Averial, Robert M. Paulum, Samu Mitchell, Christian Go, Jonathan Lee, Race Jenkins, Ron 2, Did It All for the Nookie, Ward Childress, Benjamin Avner, David Shook, and Kevin Mosser.
Nathan Poirot, Florian Jonas Kramer, Jake Dickerson, Miguel Torres, Cyril the Wolf, Jared Collins, Digimon Rocks, Admit It, Amanda Douglas, Armin Hammer, Alex Dillard, Reddit is Harold Lauder, Adam Zimmerman, Patrick W. Bears, In Loving Memory of Sexy Grandma, It's Mashed Potato Season, Vanessa's Fourth Mom, Sean Walsh, Fine Say Everyone's Name, At Least It Annoys Matt, Jonathan Ellsworth, Bort von Glorp the Fourth, Mama's Knight and Daddy Pain in the Buttocks, Gregory, The Mighty Monarch, Cake Ninja, No Gods, No Masters, George Brady, Desk, The Strongest Yakuza, Rusty Kamada, Brian Stone, Paul Birch, Chris Wilder, Jordan O'Boyle, and Devin Sloan.
Don't forget about Stephen Paget, Bree Girth, Robert T., Mary, Queen of Scots, Tom, Megan Sullivan, Justin Ham, Knopford, Wash in the Wind, Aaron Bachman, Citrusy, Eric Garby, More Games with Evil Playthroughs, Andres Rivera, that's what I'm trying to say here, Heavy Metal Jesus, Huxley Iguana, Matt Jorgensen, Andy Best, Ikuza, Vanessa Chan,
Mushy Mushy.
Andy M., Joseph, Ross Hartley, T. Bumpkins, The Phantom Scofflaws of the Opera, That One Guy, Everybody Toots, Chris Ryan, Sean Arata, Hudson Roth, Dr. Stephen Stone, Cameron Shoei, and Aaron Little Aaron.
He's so little.
All right, everyone, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. Like we said, next episode, playing through the end of Chapter 11. Please send us an email. We want to hear from you. We are squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group, for smart, cool, very attractive people, or tweet at us. We are at Square Roots Pod.
Thanks to Vincent Moretto for his metal cover of Receive You, and thanks to Esseph for his chip tune cover of Rouge of Love. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right, everybody. For Square Roots, I'm Jim Banks.
I am John Brandon.
And I'm Vanessa.
Bye.
You feel that wing ting tickling ding 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 tune. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. Outside the snow, it's falling, and friends are calling you home. Come on, it's lovely weather for a Square Roots together with you. Podcast, let's go. Let's put on a show. We're broadcasting a world of snow. Podcast, it's grand that you are a fan. Just listen along to my song in this wintry wonderland.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you home.